Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we would look at a reporting requirement for tax purposes when it comes to employer. And we would look at some important forms that you need to be familiar with as an enrolled agent student, CPA student, accounting student. It's very important. Starting with a W-2. So for every form, for most forms, I'm going to have a sample. For example, this is a W-2. Especially if you're outside the US, you're not familiar with the forms, it's very important to look at it. So the W-2 is used to report compensation paid to employees and taxes withheld during the year. So if you work for a company, what they will do, they would report how much wages they paid you for that particular year. This is yearly, that particular year, how much tax they took, how much wages subject to Social Security, wages subject to Medicare, and how much Social Security and Medicare they took. Compensation would include bonuses, salaries, and hourly taxable fringe benefit. What is reported? Federal income tax withheld. This is important, and this is very important when you have federal income tax withheld. You have to send this to the IRS if you're mailing it, because they need to see that taxes was withheld from your paycheck. Social Security and Medicare taxes, that's what's reported. State and local, also you have state and local, and you have other boxes for other things. Now, in the prior session, we talked about the EIN, and this is where the EIN goes. Remember, we looked at the EIN 3, 4, 5, 6. This could be the EIN. This is where the EIN would go. We said it's used on tax forms or payroll forms. This is one of them. Why it matters? The IRS uses W-2 to report what they paid you. Match employee income reported on 1040. So they will send one copy of this. One copy of the W-2 goes to the IRS. Then one copy goes to you as the employee. So the IRS would know that you are paid, for example, $60,000. Then they will tell you, we paid you $60,000, and they will tell the IRS they paid you $60,000. And what happened? The IRS will match those to make sure you reported all your income. Show ensure payroll taxes were properly withheld and remitted. When do they have to send this form? They must send this form. They must be furnished to employees and filed with the Social Security Administration by January 31st. Now, always think, when you think of W-2, think of employees. Think of employees. It's very important, not 1099. We're going to look at many types of 1099, but employees, if you are employed by the company, if you're an employee, we're looking at W-2. Now, we're going to look at other forms, many other forms in this session. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com. You are here because you are serious about mastering taxation. Whether you are taking a tax course, studying for the CPA exam, or enrolled agent, tax feels overwhelming, not because it's impossible, but because it's dense, detailed, and often taught at a pace that doesn't match the way you learn. The rules can feel disconnected, and the logic isn't always explained clearly. At Farhat Lectures, we slow it down. We explain the why behind the rules, break concept into simple steps, and rebuild your understanding from the ground up without assuming any prior knowledge. When explanation matches your learning, everything changes. The confusion fades, the rules start to connect, and tax becomes manageable. If you are ready to understand tax with clarity and confidence, start your free trial at farhatlectures.com, and let's build your tax foundation together. The other form is Form W-4. It's the Employee Withholding Certificate. This is the form that's filed with the employer. The IRS don't see this form. So when you fill out this form and when you start a new job, you fill out the W-4. And I have a whole recording explaining how to fill it out and what are the procedures, so on and so forth. This is kept by the employer. The IRS never sees this form. The purpose of this form is to determine how much they need to take from your paycheck. What drives how much they need to take from your paycheck? Your status as either single, married, or head of a household. Number of dependent you have. You'll have to tell them about the dependent that you have. You have to let them know about the additional income or deduction. Again, those are whatever you want to tell them. If you want to tell them, that's up to you. But if you tell them, they will take more from your paycheck. Other income, not from the job, other deduction. So you will tell your employer how much you want to take. Either you could have optional extra withholding. If you want the employer to take money from your paycheck for tax purposes for one reason or another, you do so on the W-4. And why it matters? Because if the employer if they withheld less money from your paycheck, you will owe more taxes later. Or if they take too much from your paycheck, you will get a refund. Now you want to be, break even, right? You want to break even, not get a large refund and not to pay money. Something, if you can break even, will be the best. The default rule is this. Let's assume you did not fill out a W-4. They gave you W-4 and you didn't fill it out. What happened is the employer will withhold at a single rate with no adjustments. It means they will withhold the max. Is that a big deal? It's not a big deal. When you file your taxes, you will get a large refund. So the W-4 affects withholding, timing, not total tax liability. It affects how much your employer takes from your paycheck. It's between you and the employer. Yes, it does affect your taxes, but you tell your employer how much to take. Form 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation. Again, most of these 1099, they basically look the same. 1099, non-employee compensation. So who gets this? Independent contractor. Used to report non-employee compensation. It means individual who are not employees. If they are not employees, they are contractors. Now in the next session, we'll differentiate what's considered an employee and what's considered a contractor. That's very important. But for now, just think about, they don't work for the company. You hire them to the outside. When do you have to submit this form? If you paid someone more than $600, so if you pay them more than $600 or more, once you get $600, then you have to issue this form. Made in the course of trade or a business for services, not goods, when they provide you services. Who qualifies? Freelancers, consultants, self-employed individual. When they work for someone and they are paid for those services, the employer will have to issue them. For example, we paid you $5,000. Then they will send you this form to let you know we paid you $5,000. Then obviously they will send this form also to the IRS to tell the IRS they paid you $5,000. If there's any income tax withheld, they will also show that as well, because that's important. If you paid your taxes, if there's any state taxes withheld, would also show that as well. Why classification matter, whether you are an employee or a contractor? To avoid payroll taxes, which is illegal. We'll talk about that later on. It triggers IRS penalties. So what's the important distinction here is this. When you think of contractors, think of 1099 non-employee compensation, NEC. Employee get W-2. Remember for the exam, if they mention independent contractor, consultant, self-employed, we're talking about 1099 NEC. How about 1099 miscellaneous? This form captures miscellaneous type of income not covered by wages and not covered by contractor, because contractor gets what? NEC, and wages they get W-2. So we're talking about 1099 miscellaneous, common categories, rent payment, prizes and award, medical and health payment. Any royalties more than $10, they'll have to send you. For example, you got rent, $3,000, or you got royalties of $4,000 from someone. They will send you this, and they will send a copy to the IRS. Fishing, boating proceeds. Again, if there's any federal income tax withheld, they'll have to show it to you. There are special rules for attorneys. Payments to attorneys are always reportable. Even if the law firm is incorporated, you always have to report this. The corporation are usually excluded. The IRS assumes that corporation are already subject to stricter reporting and compliance, so they don't get a 1099 miscellaneous. A business pays $5,000 in office rent. They report this on the 1099 miscellaneous. A $2,000 to a law firm, they would have to report it as well, especially to a law firm. It doesn't matter. The attorney exception is frequently tested on the EA exam. Make sure you are comfortable with that. Let's talk about 1099K. 1099K is third-party payment reporting. So this form is issued by payment processors, not the business itself. So who are the payment processor? We're looking at PayPal, Stripe, Square, credit card companies. For example, if you are a subscriber of Farhat Lectures, you go through Stripe. I mean, I do have a PayPal gateway, but on my website right now I use Stripe. So when you pay me using Stripe, Stripe will have to report this information to the IRS that I was paid. What to report? Total payment through their platform. So how much did I paid? Was I paid? It gets reported to the IRS. The threshold is this. If there's more than 20,200 transactions, they would report this. The key concept is what? Is, for example, businesses online underreport their income. This prevents underreporting of income from online sales, gig economy work. Because if someone pays you, how would the IRS know? Well, the payment processor will send them this information that this business was paid that much. So a practical example will be a ride-share driver receive payment through an app. The app issue a 1099K and will tell the IRS this driver received 25,000 in payments. Then you have to report that on your income. There's a critical distinction here. Paid, this is paid by the credit card company or online processor. So when you think of 1099K, the employer don't issue this. It's the payment processor. Now, if you are paid via check or cash, you'll get a 1099 NEC or a miscellaneous, depending on what type of income you have, if it's for contractor or miscellaneous income. Remember, this is to avoid double reporting. If paid through a credit card, you do not issue a 1099 non-employee compensation because the credit card company would report this. 1099 INT or interest income, you guessed it. It reports any interest that you received. Who pays you interest? Bank could pay you interest, but also people who you lend money to or businesses. If you received interest from a business, they only have to submit to you if they paid you more than 600. For banks, as low as $10, they will have to issue. Even if you receive $12 in interest, you would receive a 1099 INT from your bank. Again, if they take any federal income tax withheld, if you paid any foreign taxes, they will report that as well. 1099 INT. So why the lower threshold? Because banks generate large volume of small interest payment. The IRS wants to see who's getting the interest. So for example, a bank pays $50 in interest, they must issue a 1099 INT. Anything above 10, they will give it to you. So always distinguish bank versus non-bank payer. A non-bank payer will have to issue only 600 or above. There are more 1099 forms. For example, I'm showing you here 1099 div. You guessed it, it's for dividend, how much total dividend, but that's not the only thing. Now, you're not expected to memorize all the details, but you should recognize the purpose for each 1099. 1099 div is for dividend. 1099B is stock transaction. 1099S is real estate sales. 1099C is debt cancellation. 1099A is property foreclosure. There's a 1099 PATR for cooperative distribution, 1099R retirement distribution. For the exam, especially the EA, if the question describes the transaction clearly, match it logically. For example, 1099B is for stock sale, 1099C is for cancellation of that. You just need to be a bit familiar with those. What other forms you need to be familiar with is form called 8300. This is for any cash transaction above $10,000. This form is designed for anti-money laundering enforcement. What does that mean? It means if you go and deposit more than $10,000 in the bank will have to fill out this form to let the IRS, the government knows, not the IRS, the government, I believe it's the federal government, that somebody reported more than $10,000 in cash. Whether it's single or related transaction, even if you break down the deposit, well, the total is more than 10,000. You must file it within 15 days and notify the customers by January 31st. What counts as cash? Physical currency, money order, checks. What does not count? Credit card, because you have a third party. We know where the money is going from because it's a credit card transaction. Bank transfer, the same thing. It's coming from a bank, going to a bank. Everything is clear. So you only form this if it's actual cash transaction. So a bank dealer receives 17,000 in cash. They must file form 8,300. So now breaking the payment into smaller amount does not avoid the reporting. You have to, if you break down this 9,000 and 8,000, that doesn't do it. If you have more than 10,000 in cash you want to deposit, you have to do it. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. A business pays $800 to an individual landlord. What form should be issued? Let's start with D. No reporting is required. Actually, it is. It's a business. It is required. And it's not only business, the amount is more than 600. So we can take out D. Well, we could also take out C because W2 as employees. We're not dealing with employees here. Therefore, C is out as well. So now we're between 1099 NEC and 1099 miscellaneous. Is this a non-employee compensation or is this a form of miscellaneous income? This is miscellaneous income. Non-employee compensation is for contractor. Rental is rent. Therefore, the answer is B. You need to be familiar with these forms if you're using Farhat Lectures. You can ask the AI to explain the topic, explain the correct and incorrect answer, create a similar MCQ. If you are studying for the exam, the best investment you can make is invest in yourself. Go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional MCQs, resources, lecture that will help you prepare and succeed. Don't shortchange yourself. No one can take your success from you, and God bless.